It is Monday, April 20th, 2020, and you are tuned into DIRTRACKR Daily. I'm Justin Fiedler. It's the 50th episode of the show. I can't believe we made it here already. I started this show back in February. It's pretty crazy how quickly you can get to 50 episodes when you're doing them every single day. So pretty cool to get here, and hopefully we can do a heck of a bunch more of these. I wanted to mention really quick off the top, Jefferson Speedway. They had announced last week that they are going to run actually an actual race this coming Saturday night. They did a limited run of tickets. They have sold all 700 of those tickets already for this Saturday's race. They are supposed to announce pre-entries at some point today. I was kind of holding off on putting the show out, hoping that I could get you a little bit of a list here, but it looks like they're a little delayed on putting that list out. So if you go check out the Park Jefferson social media and website later, I'm sure you'll be able to find that list of drivers that will be competing this Saturday. They're running IMCA Modifieds and 410 Sprint Cars this weekend. So you should be able to check that out here in a little bit. On Friday, Oil eSports held their second late model event so far. They took to Kokomo Speedway for 75 laps of action. Caden Cornell went quick time over the 24-car field. Cornell and Mike McKinney actually transferred into Friday's program from the open race they ran on Thursday night. Heats were won by Cornell, Trent Ivey, Matt Cosner, and Hudson O'Neill. As it was last week, heats were just there to set the feature lineup. There was no preliminary action, D's, C's, B's, any of that stuff like we've seen for a lot of the other series. They literally just ran heat races to set the feature lineup. Cornell and Ivy started on the front row with Ivy grabbing the early lead. He led until lap 10 when Corey Gordon and Mike McKinney made their way to the front. Gordon led the race up until Caden Cornell was able to get back to the front on lap 30. Later, though, contact between leader Cornell and Trent Ivey around lap 41 sent Ivey into the wall. He would rebound to finish 6th. The next 30 laps were kind of a back-and-forth affair out front between Cornell and Corey Gordon. While they were racing, though, David Siebers snuck to the front from his 10th starting position. Siebers was second with about 12 to go. He got into the back of leader Cornell, sending him spinning back through the field. Siebers and Gordon wound up battling over the final 6 laps for the lead, with Siebers coming out on top for his first Oil eSports win. Cornell raced his way all the way back to second. Mike McKinney was third. Corey Gordon was fourth, and Nick Stroop was fifth. I haven't seen any announcement yet about where they are going to run this coming Friday. But when they do have that announcement, I will certainly let you know. They've been running those over on the Oil Facebook page if you would like to watch those for free with Bob Dillner and James Essex and Dave Argerbright on the call. Oil ASCS put on their first iRacing event on Friday evening as well. They ran a full program of 360 sprint cars at Williams Grove Speedway. 50 cars lined up in qualifying with Tanner Holmes taking quick time over Cameron Key and Roger Crockett. Heats were won by Holmes, Colton Hardy, Garrett Holsey, Tony Gualda, and Dazen Persley. Randy Hannigan, him and Kevin Swindell on this night. Hannigan won the D and the C, basically from the back of the D. Kyle Spence ended up winning the B, but both Hannigan and Swindell ran from the D all the way to the feature. Swindell had a previous commitment and wasn't able to race in his heat race, so he basically had to start at the back of the D with Hannigan. Both of those guys made their way all the way into the feature, so pretty cool. A little bit different feature start for the ASCS. They went ahead and inverted, looked like the top 8 for the feature. That put Justin Cox on the pole at the start. He jumped to the early lead over Kyle Miller. Colton Hardy started 7th. He was able to quickly move up into the 2nd spot. Hardy challenged Cox a few times, but took the lead officially from Cox on lap 18. Hardy drove away. Pretty much nobody had anything for him. There was a late caution, though, that tightened up the field. He was able to survive a restart with only a few left to grab the win over Tony Gualda, Tanner Holmes, Justin Cox, and Chance Crum. If you don't know who Colton Hardy is, he's a regular iRacer for Swindell Speed Lab eSports, and then has done a ton of 360 experience as well with ASCS and some of the regional ASCS series. This show was really fun to watch. I mentioned on my Twitter account, Brian Holbert has to be one of the most underrated announcers in the country. I feel like you never hear about him and the work he does between Chili Bowl and ASCS and some of the other things that he's involved in, but most of the shows we've seen have had multiple announcers on this iRacing deal, so guys can kind of work off of each other. But Holbert did this whole thing by himself. No hosts, no people with iRacing experience around him. It was just him. He jumped in and did it. Did a fantastic job. You would never know that he hadn't done it before. And also, they had 2 early cautions, like kind of right away at the start, and then the race really settled out, and those guys actually really ran a really clean race, which is impressive, especially since we have not seen one of these events up to this point from the ASCS. But they'll be back in action this Friday night at Knoxville for round 2 if you want to check those out. It is on live on Racing Boys and the Racing Boys Facebook page for free if you would like to watch those. If you're looking for some other iRacing to watch tonight, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series takes on Williams Grove tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on Dirt Vision. You can watch that as part of your Fast Pass. Single night passes are also available. And then the iRacing World of Outlaws Sprint Car World Championship for the pro guys heads to Lima Land at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can watch that live at iRacing.com/live or twitch.com/iRacing. Those have been really fun to watch. I've been talking about those every week. But these are the guys that are kind of the very top of the iRacing guys. And they've had some great races up to this point, different winners each week, super tight fields and things like that. So if you're interested in those will be on tonight, which I will certainly be watching because I think those are really fun. But I've been talking about a lot of the World of Outlaws Late Model Series analytics on the site. I mentioned last week that I was missing the money and the lap leaders for a lot of the 2019 races, but I was able to get a little bit of help from some folks, and I was able to add lap leaders for all the races now. So the laps led stats for all the races for the Late Model Series in the database are now up to date and accurate. So if you would like to go peruse those, they are there. I made a few other small additions. The individual race results now include the feature lap count. That was something I didn't have on there before, but went ahead and added. And I also added a new number, the total number of position changes for the feature. That's basically the sum of all of the spots changed in the plus minus column. If you take the plus minus column and add it all together, it would be 0. But if you take just the positive numbers and add those together, that's basically what you're seeing. And I'm going to kind of dig into some of those later. I would like to take some of those numbers and see what that looks like in terms of, like, if you go back and actually watch those races, if that number means, like, it was a good race because there was a ton of positions changed, or maybe if it doesn't seem to make that big of a difference, if there's like no correlation there. So I'm going to go back and check out and try to find some of those races that have really high position change numbers, and then go back and watch the races and see, like I said, if there's any correlation between, that number and how good the race was. But another stat addition can be found in the feature wins drop down. Besides the total number of feature wins, you can also now see the average number of laps led for each driver. So that stat is available for all races in the database and for the individual races as well. All of these changes are available for both sprint cars and late models on the site. If you can hear in the background, if it's a little noisy, my son is being a little loud downstairs. But anyway, so yeah, a couple of stat additions for the analytics section of DIRTRACKR. You can find that at dirttracker.com/analytics. And obviously more to come. I'm excited about some of the things that we're seeing here, and some of the things like, the ability to kind of to pull some numbers out of these, and all of the data that's kind of available as we go here and continue to add numbers and add stats and add races. I think there's going to be a lot more fun stuff here. I keep actually refreshing here too to see the Park Jefferson stuff, to see if they have made the announcement yet. And as of 10:20, there's still no announcement. So we'll go ahead and close up the show. Hope everybody has a good Monday. I appreciate you tuning in. This is like I said, the 50th episode, and pretty neat to get to this point this quickly. So hopefully we can do a whole bunch more of those, and I've got some hopefully have some interviews lined up here for the next week or so. I've got basically, if you are a regular podcast listener, and especially a regular dirt racing podcast listener, like similar to kind of what we do on Open Red, a lot of shows now have, they'll have a guest on and they'll talk about their racing career. They'll talk about, they'll kind of do 30, 45-minute hour conversations and kind of cover the whole gamut of things. But the interviews I'm going to do on this show, I'm going to keep condensed, and I'm going to have a guest on to talk about a very specific topic. And so, when you see me bring somebody on, it's not to get their life story. It's because I have a specific question for them, or I have a specific topic I want to address with them. And I'm going to kind of use them as an expert in doing so. So the shows will still, hopefully be 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how long those interviews go, but it'll still be, race results and talk about analytics and things like that. But then in addition to, I'll have a short interview where we cover off on a specific topic. So I'm hoping to do a couple of those this week. I will certainly share those as I get them recorded and as we're ready to put those on the show. But just keep that in mind as we go forward. You can find DIRTRACKR Daily on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or where you get podcasts. Please subscribe, leave me a review, tell your friends. You can also watch the show on YouTube and Facebook every day. You can email the show at info@dirttracker.com, and you can follow along at Facebook facebook.com/DirtTracker, twitter.com/DirtTracker, and the website itself, DirtTracker.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Justin_Fiedler. That's JUSTIN_FIEDLER. And you can sign up for the Dirt Tracker weekly newsletter, which I will be sending out a new one this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow on Dirt Tracker Daily.